All right, good morning, everyone. It is 7 a.m. It is after sunrise. This is when Kevin and I, well, Maddie is on spring break, but this is when we can actually sit down and just chat. Yeah, so it's just the two of us.
And I just follow Alex's lead usually on this because he's got the rundown.
Yeah, I'm the producer of this show.
I have no clue what we're going to talk about here. I just put my 2 cents in there.
So what do you want to talk about today, Kevin?
I don't know. But you said we're starting basketball?
Kind of like sports, kind of sports. But first, because Maddie's gone on spring break, I know that like so many people are traveling and taking advantage, because it's not just the kids that are off on spring break. Parents.
A lot of parents take that time off.
Yeah, they take that because come on, like it's just like a nice break from.
Yeah, I know your parents are both teachers. They do anything fun?
They are in. Where are they? They're on the Central Coast. I think they're in Cambria.
Okay.
I think
so they got out of Dodge.
Pismo. They're in that area. And
if they're in Pismo, I want some cinnamon rolls.
I know. I need to text them that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're enjoying that, and they like to go over there every couple times a year. Go to they like to hang out like Grover Beach though.
Oh yeah.
In the Grover Beach area, they don't necessarily. I mean, they'll go and do things in Pismo, but they like the Grover Beach area. Their friends have a beach house there, so they hang out. They'll just set up shop there.
Fun.
And then just go all over. They'll go to St. Louis, and they do that a couple times a year. And do you have any trips planned, by the way?
No, not right now.
I don't either.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's not true. I am going to Atlanta in about a month. Because you know how I'm doing my baseball tour? Like my goal is to hit all the baseball parks in America. So I'm going to go to watch the Braves.
Gotcha.
In Atlanta and check that one off my list.
Yeah, I don't really have anything right now. The only thing I have, it's work related, as people will say work and play, I guess, is the 70th anniversary for Disney. So I'll be down there for a few days next month, highlighting that. But the last trip I had.
It's true, like fully personal. You don't have anything.
I know.
Planned.
Everybody kind of gets that mixed. They said when I got back from DC, oh, you went on vacation to DC.
It's like, no, I was working the entire time.
Yeah, I was working the whole time, but I guess it was a vacation, and I had 96 buddies that I was touring DC with.
It breaks up the day-to-day stuff, right?
Yeah, things you don't get to see on normal basis.
Yeah, of course. All right, I do want to talk about something that I think is cool, and you've talked about this before, Kev. We've got so many great athletes, of course, in Kern County. And a lot of them leave, but a lot of them leave, and then they come back, and then they try to give back to their community as much as possible,
which I think is great.
So I'm going to talk about Jordan Love and Chris Barnes. So they were here this past weekend, and they held this youth football camp.
Yep.
Which I think is super cool out at Liberty. And they're always this is the third time that they've done this. It's the third annual. So they're in the NFL. They come back and they're just they hold this camp for the kids and stuff. And so for our local kids to interact with, 2 homegrown NFL players, I think is pretty cool,
It is really cool, and it's nice that they do this every year. And my hope is we get more athletes that have made their mark here in Kern County and moved on. I'm a baseball guy, and that's something I haven't seen in recent years is our baseball, Major League Baseball players. George Culver does a lot in the community.
It is also, the baseball season's kind of rough though, because it's such a long season, and then when you're done, it's the weather's not great, so it's kind of hard. But no, I know what you're saying.
Because we have several. I mean, there have been a few, don't get me wrong, that have done, but man, we have a good handful of Major League Baseball players that have come out of Bakersfield and made their name, and a lot of football players as well. We are a sports town.
Yeah, we are. So I want to show you. So 17 Sports Director Anthony Vasquez, he went up and talked to Jordan and Chris just about why they do this and what it was like to go back to their alma mater. So take a look at this football camp that they put on last weekend.
Oh man, it's always awesome to be able to get back here, get back to Bakersfield, obviously get back to Liberty High School. It's a blessing to be able to do this, and we're grateful to be able to come back to our hometown and put on a great camp and teach the kids. 1 on 3, 1 on me, 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Hey, we offensive start.
2 of Bakersfield's NFL stars are giving back to their community. Jordan Love and Chris Barnes return to Liberty High for their 3rd annual youth football camp. This time, nearly 500 kids from 5 to 15 years old grabbed some swag and took the field with one common goal.
Go have fun on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go, let's go.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It's crazy. We're already on our 3rd year, to be honest. It seems like every year is continuing to get better and better, and that's the best thing for us in this community is just continue to grow, continue to show these kids that there's more routes than one, and people show that we care about this community too as well. We're here at one time and leaving. We want to come back and show our faces and show support to these kids more than just football as well.
Ready to get busy. Ready to get busy. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
The duo led Liberty to a Valley championship in 2015. Love threw for over 4,000 yards in high school, while Barnes turned his standout defensive play into a scholarship at UCLA. Now they're back and throwing touchdowns to the next generation, sparking belief they too can score on and off the field.
To be the NFL player coming back to your hometown and to hopefully inspire these kids and teach them some things, but at the end of the day, give them that hope that they could be the next player to make it out, or the next person to do some big things. So, and then hopefully they come back and give back to the community. So it's a blessing.
I think that's a blessed thing about me and Jordan that we talk about from the very start. Our first camp a couple years ago is that we want to make sure that we never lose sight of that. We come from humble beginnings. We want to make sure that we give that same support that we had to these kids and more.
Their infectious energy was on display all afternoon, putting smiles on kids and on their former coach.
And just to be able to watch them do something they love, and play in the NFL and play at the highest level, and then to come back, and they are so excited about coming back and having this camp. And I think it just shows what kind of character they have and what kind of people they are, and they want to give back to the community that gave to them.
Anthony Vasquez, 17 Sports.
That's what it's all about right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think and you saw how many kids were out there.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I mean, there were a lot, and there were a ton of kids, and you could tell they were all having fun.
Yeah.
And I think I love, though, that they keep coming back, and that's the reason why they're doing this.
Yep.
Because they're hoping to, set a precedent, you leave, you come back, you keep reinvesting in the programs that help start you. Yeah. So I think that is super
So we got
cool.
football. Now we just need something
Some other
like
sports,
that,
yeah.
like baseball,
Yeah.
or even soccer.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any soccer stars here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've got that great soccer park, the Kern County Soccer Park, and there's a lot.
Maybe
of good.
one day Elijah Espinoza.
That is our director's
That's our
son.
director's son, who
Yeah.
is a great soccer player. So hopefully Elijah makes it big one day, and then he can come back.
There you go. You can start the conversations.
There
now.
we go.
All right, Kev, you mentioned this yesterday too. 50 years since the end of the Vietnam War, and I know you just got back from Honor Flight 51.
Yep.
And a lot of Vietnam vets on that.
There's
flight.
a lot of Vietnam vets, to be honest with you, on every flight that I've been on, and
Yeah.
I would say that's kind of the focus
Right
of the trips is taking these Vietnam vets to the wall and seeing that raw emotion, that healing process for them. But yeah, a big year, 50 years.
50 years. So it, of course, some of the most dramatic and traumatic images, 50 years ago, the end of the Vietnam War, playing out on television screens across America. But I mean, it's been half a century. Since that happened. Of course, we don't remember because we weren't alive then. But 17's Robert Price kind of takes a look back at the last 50 years and how the stories are still being told to this day.
The moment has faded from memory for a lot of Americans, if they were ever really aware of it. And if they were of a requisite level of awareness, they may have forgotten.
It was, after all, half a century ago. Exactly half a century. The last U.S. military units had left Vietnam 2 years before, leaving the South Vietnamese Army to defend what was left. In over a decade of fighting, some 58,000 U.S. troops had been killed, along with 200,000 South Vietnamese troops and more than 1 million North Vietnamese soldiers and Viet Cong irregulars. Civilian deaths approached 2 million. The war had divided the U.S. like no other conflict since the Civil War, and now it was ending before our eyes in televised pandemonium. Louis Vega, a semi-retired Kern County Superior Court judge, was a door gunner on an Army attack helicopter.
I'm glad I wasn't there. I just can't imagine feeling that impending doom and trying to get out of there, trying to be the last person out of there alive, and hearing the explosions of the oncoming North Vietnamese army. I mean, it was chaos. The last unit, the embassy guards, how they were stranded at the top of a roof and they weren't sure they were going to get out of there alive. So it was sad. It was sad to see what the war had come to, and all the money that we'd put into it, all the material, all the guys that lost their lives.
Ed Budney was a visual combat tracker, wounded 4 times on a mission 4 months into his deployment, twice by enemy fire, twice by friendly fire. The war's ignominious end stays with him.
Did we lose it? I think we all knew we could win. We weren't attacked. It's not like a 9/11 where we had to retaliate. Did we win? I don't know.
A sense of relief tempered the frustration for opponents of the war. Eddie Lane participated in protests.
Finally. It was a demonstration of the poor decision-making that our country engaged in for years and years.
Randa Hunter, who grew up in a conservative Bakersfield family, saw the carnage as clearly as might be possible for a 19-year-old girl.
We thought that the government knew what it was doing, stopping communism.
And then, 7 years later, the chaotic pullout.
The city of Saigon was renamed today.
I thought of the soldiers that were left in Afghanistan and the screaming and yelling in the States, and I thought, well, I think you need to play back what happened when we left Vietnam. If you want to see chaos, if you want to see families chasing airplanes, begging to get on a plane, throwing their kids onto a C-51A cargo plane to get out of there, or taking helicopters and pushing them off aircraft carriers because they didn't have any room, that's chaos. That was abandonment. Look at the mistakes that have happened. Let's not repeat them.
In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
And I think that's why you get so much raw emotion when we're in Washington, D.C. from these veterans, because as you hear in these interviews, it was a war that so many felt we didn't need to get into. Yes, we were trying to squash communism by going over and fighting in Vietnam, but then when our soldiers came back, because it was a war that I would say a lot didn't agree with, you know, these soldiers did what they were told. That's what our military does. When you're told to go places, go fight, you do it. So they had no choice, and then they come back from war, and they didn't get that respect.
And I think it's just also, I mean, 50 years is just a milestone in itself, right?
Right, and it was kind of came in stages. Like the U.S. pulled out in '73, the war didn't end until '75.
Right.
So there was a lot of elements to the Vietnam.
A lot of elements there, but I mean, it was, you know, just hearing these veterans though, and you see, like you said, seeing the raw emotion and seeing how they're still dealing with the immense trauma that they, whether it be physical, emotional, you name it, the trauma that they still, you know, carry is it's a lot.
Yeah, because there's also other aspects to this. Talking to some Vietnam vets while I was in D.C., some suffer from Agent Orange. And for the longest time, I didn't really understand the Agent Orange thing. So what would happen in Vietnam is aircraft would come over the grassland areas and they would spray Agent Orange to kill the grasses so that our soldiers would have better visuals of the Vietnamese because they knew how to hide in those grasses. And so these planes would come over and they would spray our soldiers with Agent Orange. A lot of veterans say, I don't think our government knew that they were hurting us.
Right.
Our government felt they were helping us, but the long-term effects were never known. And now a lot of these veterans are suffering from the long-term effects of Agent Orange. And in fact, I had one veteran hand me a letter while we were in the airport, and he said, I don't know who to get this to. Maybe you could get it to Vince Fong. I'm trying to get medication that helped me for so long battle this Agent Orange and what it's done to my body, and now I'm not taking it anymore because it's not covered through the VA. And so he's trying to bring awareness, like these Vietnam veterans that were sprayed with Agent Orange and are having these effects need this medication, but according to him, it's not being covered. So he reached out. So you hear so many stories and how it's impacted these veterans.
Part of me kind of wants it'd be so neat to we need to see if we can do this at some point, but like create like a little, almost like a photo booth, and with a camera, and have them sit in this booth and just talk, and share their stories and share. There's a lot, you're going to see themes, you're going to see similarities, but they all have something that they share, but they're all individual stories, and they all have different perspectives, and so it is interesting, and to see where the commonalities back then during the war, and then how it's impacted them today.
Yeah, I have not talked to one Vietnam veteran who at some point in the interview did not break down in emotion, because there's just so much emotion in that combat.
For sure.
And Mr. Vega showed that raw emotion towards the end.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't talked to one Vietnam veteran who doesn't eventually break down from the thoughts.
Because they're pulling from pulling from the past. All right, so it's sun is up. It's a beautiful morning out there. Looking over to the side, looking at one of our monitors, and it's it's going to be another. Oh, look at that! Adam
there,
just
Adam,
giving us
he's
a look
quick.
right there.
He reads our mind.
Giving us a look at the skyline there. You can see the little haze out there, but I mean it's still a beautiful morning out there. This is the time of year where I think it is so nice to just spend as much time outdoors as you possibly can, because it is great. I know we're above average for this time of year. I know that yesterday was a little toasty for like an hour. From 4:30 to 5:30, I was like, it's just a little toasty. Maybe it's because I was I knew that we're gonna be close to 90 and going like, I'm not ready for this. It could have been all psychological. Usually it is, but yeah. So I mean, it's just a beautiful day. But there's so much to go out and enjoy and everything, and it's just with spring break and
you don't even have to go out of Kern County. I mean, there's so many things around the area, and if you're looking for places to do during spring break, or as we get into the summer break, you can actually go to kgt.com and click on a community section. I believe it's in the actually it's in the weather section. In previous years, I've done sunrise getaways, sunrise adventures, and you will see every sunrise adventure that I've ever taken part in to give you maybe that idea of where you could go on spring break or where you could go in the summertime. In fact, somebody asked me the other day about sunrise adventures, and I'm taking a summer off. I have some things maybe planned, so kind of made it a little more difficult to do it this year. But we've traveled so many places in the 4 years that I did do it.
Oh, yeah.
So go check it out, because I just saw somebody went to Solvang the other day.
By the way,
that was one of my
Solvang.
favorites to cover.
You inspired me to go.
To Solvang?
To Solvang, yeah.
Beautiful in Solvang. There's just so many great places around California. Rankin Ranch, which is not far from here.
It's not just California, it's in Kern County.
In Kern County, Rankin Ranch. I was on the flight coming back, and they were talking about, you don't know what we're going to do this summer. I said, have you ever been to Rankin Ranch? No, I've never heard of it. Look up Rankin Ranch. If you want to just escape from internet, from cell service, there's none up there. Take in the beauty of the grasslands, and they are just so great up at Rankin Ranch. You get to have dinner at the dinner table with everybody, horseback riding. They have a pool on premise. Look up Rankin Ranch. I will tell you, you will have a great, great time.
What has been your favorite sunrise adventure?
I would say Rankin Ranch at tops.
You talk about Rankin Ranch a
I know.
lot.
And it's not. And let me just say, I got to know the Rankins while I was there, but other than that, I never knew the Rankins or Rankin Ranch until I went up there and discovered it, and it was so peaceful. And I think
is it because it kind of removed you from reality for just a moment?
Yeah, removed me from reality.
Yeah.
The hospitality is incredible with the Rankins. That's just not a little resort.
Right.
All of the Rankins are there. They treat you like family. They have a petting zoo. Their cabins are amazing. The horses, the horseback riding. You get to see the family history. There's a family cemetery there you can go see. But it takes you away, you're right, from reality. Because I'm going to tell you, there you go. Man, is this Adam right now? He is so good. So this is kgt.com, and I believe it's under the weather tab, and you'll see Sunrise Adventures under the tab. See, he's navigating it for you. There you go. I think it's on there, right, Adam?
Yep.
Okay. It says Weather Wednesday. There you go. Kevin, there is Sunrise. I'm blind. I can't see that far away from the monitor. So there you go. A whole list of places that you can visit during spring break and also during the summer. But
I forgot you went to Lake Havasu.
I went to Lake Havasu. That's a little farther.
Right.
But yeah, look up Rankin Ranch. Make that one of your spots. I promise it won't disappoint. And what I liked about it is, like I said, no cell service, no internet. In fact, I remember going to bed after a long day up there, and what did I do? I got into bed, I grabbed my phone just by habit, and I was like,
oh, you don't have any service.
Good night. And I went,
yep.
Had a great night's sleep. So thanks, Adam, for showing everybody actually where to find that.
I'm telling you, like that is I'm starting to get more and more into, so this past weekend I was out of town for just a little bit, and was in a remote area on the Central Coast where there was no cell service. I mean, it had the SOS, on it, and it was so, the only time I used my phone was to take pictures and everything, but I had zero service. You could not get a hold of me even if you wanted to, and I'm trying to be better about that, about not being connected so much. And honestly, Maddie is the one who is really inspiring me to do this more, right? Because of all of her special reports and saying, like, if you're gone, like if you're with someone, if you're, off the clock, if you're, unplug. Yeah. Unplug. That's how you actually recharge. You recharge when you unplug. Mm-hmm. Weekends, you don't need to be checking your email every few minutes on the weekend. Yeah. You don't need to be on vacation. You don't need to be checking in with your coworkers. You don't need to be doing this. Just unplug.
Unplug.
And so she has talked about how she's been implementing that into her lifestyle. And as we know, I mean, sometimes we try to get a hold of her and like it can be difficult. It can be difficult to get a hold of her. And it's because she is unplugging. And I'm going, and by the way, there's no frustration there. It's more of like I need to do this too. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a really good like practice, And so going back to you at Rankin Ranch of just how you didn't have service, you have no other option but to be alone with yourself. And how amazing is that to have that?
Let's see how good Adam is. You ready?
What?
Hey, Adam, go back to that. Can you push play and we give people just a little taste
of
Rankin Ranch? Let's see if Adam can do that. We can see him off to the side.
We can see him off to the side,
Let's see how quick it will load. I think you have to get through a commercial first. Of course, on the any website, you got to get past that little commercial. But we'll give you a little sneak peek of what Rankin Ranch is all about because I just loved it so much up there. You know?
And thank goodness they were able to escape from the Burrell fire.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I think he's found it.
All right, let's see here.
He might be able to.
There we go. Yeah, it is beautiful up there.
Yeah, see. Horseback riding, that was so much fun to be able to do a little bit of horseback. Look at, they have a petting zoo, so yeah, that donkey was really friendly. And you can see the history. It goes way, way back in the family. And this is the cemetery that I was kind of talking about.
And I'm sorry,
it's a cattle ranch.
Was this your first time up there?
Yes, and that's Amanda Rankin. She kind of runs the operations. She's phenomenal and walks around, talks to guests, has fun with them. We did a square dancing night. She was in there square dancing with everybody. And it's a working cattle ranch as well. As you can see the white-faced Hereford there. And this is Mr. Rankin. He's still, with his old equipment, bales the hay. And if you remember, I was scared to death. This is Amanda's husband. He's a firefighter with the Kern County Fire Department. And he herds his cattle on the ranch now by helicopter, not by horseback. And so he took me up on the helicopter to see the ranch from above. And here we were actually herding a little bit of the cattle. I was scared to death in that helicopter, but I did it. And then you get that hometown cooking as well that they do for you. So if that didn't sell you, I don't know. You would think I worked at Rankin Ranch, right? And there was my cabin there. And then the pool. So,
is it like communal dinner?
It is, yeah.
That's
it's family
so
style.
Cool. Family style.
Yeah,
dinner?
That's outside. That's Mrs. Rankin right there. That's Brenda Rankin. And then
there's the line dancing.
There's the line dancing, and that's Amanda right there. And then that's kind of a patio. This is the dining room where everybody ate. And these are just guests that I talk to that love coming up every single year. So there you have it. There's Mr. Rankin right there again. Family affair, and then we took. To the trails and did a little bit of horseback riding as well.
Wow.
So you can watch the full package at kgt.com. Click on the weather tab and Click on Sunrise Adventures.
You're kind of selling me here.
Yeah, there you go. That's me actually shooting on the horse.
There you go.
So there you go.
I'm actually trying to one of my goals, New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to call it. It's been ongoing for like 2 years. It's just trying to see more of California, like trying to see more of my backyard, right? Our backyard. I mean, we've got already so much. Again, I've never been to Rankin Ranch.
Right.
I mean, I know where it is in the Walker Basin. I've been through Walker
About
Basin
an hour
before.
away.
But yeah, it's an hour away. It's perfect. I mean, people go there from all over the world.
Yeah.
They come to Kern County to go to that place, and then I'm like an hour away, and I've never been. The same thing for me up in like Kernville. I love going up there and taking a hike. It's a short drive up there. It is absolutely beautiful, especially this time of year. The river is still like, the snow is just now starting to melt. So it's like, and it has been an impressive water year by any means, snow year, but it's still like, it's still very nice. It's not like crazy at this point. I mean, I know it will get crazy once the heat really turns on, but it's just beautiful up there. And, you have the poppies, all the flowers, the purples, the oranges and everything. And I'm going, why haven't I not been doing this like on a regular basis?
That's right. Don't feel bad. You know where I have not been? And it's a disgrace. I've been here 20 years, and I've not been to Yosemite.
Stop it. You have not been to Yosemite?
I know.
Okay.
I said.
All right. Stop.
Bad.
Hold, and then our director, who's been here his whole life, he was just saying, I've never been.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop.
I know.
Stop right now. Okay. Here we go. Yosemite, I've traveled all over the world. I have been to dozens of countries. I've been backpacking in Patagonia. I've gone everywhere. There is not another place like Yosemite.
Yeah, and I want to time it to, this is the perfect time of year because you're starting to see more water flow melt off. You want to go during the waterfalls.
You are, okay, so you could not be more correct. As someone who's never been there, you couldn't be more correct. Is my excitement coming through here? The best time to go to Yosemite is either right before Memorial Day weekend or right after. Meaning that you're getting the warm temperatures. Do not go Memorial Day weekend.
Crazy.
It's packed.
Yeah,
because everyone's I don't
like crowds.
Packed.
That's probably one of the reasons because I've heard it's so packed there.
Yes, you have to be careful. You got to time it out. But then the days following Memorial Day, it's busy, but it's not packed.
Gotcha. Because everybody went Memorial Day.
Because everyone went Memorial Day, and summer vacation hasn't started yet.
Okay.
So
that's where I need to plan.
But once you go past like mid-June, so like I would say anything like going to Yosemite before your birthday. If you go after your birthday, it's too late because you're June 16th.
Right.
So if you go after June 16th, I'd say middle part of June, it's too late.
Yeah.
But if you go before, if you go in the first half of late May, so late next month through like early June, you'll be fine. And it is absolutely stunning.
Somebody asked me, well, why didn't you ever do a sunrise adventure to Yosemite? Because you don't get cell service there.
There's zero
and so
cell
I could
service.
never really, for sunrise adventures, I would leave on a Saturday and I'd be live on a Monday morning showcasing it. And with that, there was no way. So unless I get a Starlink mobile device or...
My favorite is going to Yosemite and being there for a couple of days. And then like you could go, a day, if not longer. Because you can get cell service, but it's almost like you just get in that little window and you get it for 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
All it is enough for your phone to blow up and catch up on all the notifications. And then if you need to respond to anything, it's like, nope, it's too late. You got it all, but you moved, it's like, it's very, very, you couldn't do this.
Yeah. But if technology comes around to where I can do something like that,
there you go.
I will make it my first stop for those that have not been to Yosemite. We'll go live from Yosemite.
Let us know. Email us. You can email me at alexanderfisher@kget.com. Let me know what your favorite spot in California is to visit.
Yeah, there you go.
And I would love to check it out.
We'll share it.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us for After Sunrise. We'll see you tomorrow.